Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 307 at scavengerlife.com.
So last week we were talking about flea markets.
Yes.
And how I especially love flea markets. And we're talking about like the different kinds of people who come to or who sell at flea markets. And it was interesting. People that were hearing the podcast were commenting about their experience. Some people wanted to clarify some of what we were talking about. So I just wanted to quickly go over that.
Yeah.
So yes, there are people who are just doing like a yard sale,
Right.
People who are cleaning out their house, spring cleaning, and instead of having like a yard sale, they go to the flea market. Right. And those are some of the people, as we see, who just kind of have stuff on sheets and are willing to let things go for cheap.
Sure.
There are also the people who, in particular, people were talking about when we talked about the junkers that we love, that look disorganized. They said some of those people, guys they do house clean outs,
Yep.
And so they've cleaned out a house. They've like taken all this high-end furniture and they've taken the silver and the gold and, they've made thousands of dollars. And then they just go to the flea market and sell all the stuff that is left over.
Right.
So instead of me saying like they're scrounging, they're actually laughing because they've already made thousands of dollars and this is just their leftovers. And we know those people too.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Although I find that those guys, even with their junk, they know what they have and they're the ones that like put things out with prices on them.
Yeah.
And then there are the people who are just making a living. They're selling out of their car. And we know these guys. I mean, because we've talked to them, and I've even asked them, "Why don't you sell on eBay?" I don't tell them I sell on eBay that I'm going to buy this and sell it for a lot more. Right. But I'm asking them if they think these items are worth more. Why don't they sell on eBay? And these are the guys who will say, "Oh, because one time I sold and I didn't like how a customer treated me," or
right.
I don't want to have a bank account, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And really, it's all good. We each find the place where we want to be in the food chain.
Right. What makes sense.
And I was just bringing it up because to me it's interesting how it really is all about it's knowledge and what we're willing to do, because like what we do isn't magic. Like we haven't found a secret. We're just willing to put up with kind of its bureaucracy of eBay and having bank accounts and paying taxes
and storage
and
organization.
And some people don't want to do that.
Yeah. I see why.
Right.
I mean, I absolutely see why, because like you were just saying, the bureaucracy of dealing with customers, dealing with eBay, dealing with the state,
almost
dealing
like
with the
it's like our own. It's what we've had to make for ourselves. We have all these rules for ourselves and how we handle things, and and
it's a lot.
Policies.
It's a lot to think about. It's a lot of work. So I absolutely understand why people are like, "That I'm not going to do that. Right. I'm going to be."
I would love just to go to the flea market, sell everything out of the back of my car, have a wad of cash, and just I live on that. However, I live on that. What
and
a simple
so
life.
There's different.
Government doesn't know anything.
Exactly. So there's definitely just different perspectives on what makes sense.
Right.
And that's just it.
That being said, so we have now paid all of our taxes up until this very moment. That means that we are good to go for 2016. We paid off all the taxes we owed, and then estimated taxes for anyone self-employed was due April 15th. People always get mad at me. It's when I say it exactly wrong. Sometime in mid-April was when it was due, and we paid those. So we are good to go.
Oh man, it's just like
we're good citizens of this country.
Big chunks.
Yeah.
Big chunks of money.
But that's what we had to deal with when we started doing this full time, realizing like, we have to actually
we have to report it.
Yeah, but it's good.
That's just the way it is.
It makes me feel like a responsible adult.
You're very responsible.
Doesn't it? You don't want to.
You help me stay responsible.
Okay, let's talk about eBay. So
yes.
ShipSaver. So people were talking about, a couple people on the It's forum said that they were looking in their bank account and that money was being taken out by eBay.
Right. So hold on a second, because some people were saying when they paid for a shipping label, it was not coming out of their PayPal balance. It was getting like debited out of their checking account.
Because that's their backup.
That's their backup.
Yeah.
But they were like, I have money in my PayPal. So I wasn't seeing that. But then you were seeing charges come through at $5 increments, which to me said that's ShipSaver grabbing their $5 increments.
It would say like PayPal.
It would say PayPal transfer Instant Express, something like that. $5. And you're like, what is this? And it was the same issue.
And then you called eBay.
Yeah, so I called eBay and I was just like, what is going on with this? And they said, what you need to do is whatever third party, which includes eBay, ShipSaver, whoever, who you've allowed to pull money out of your PayPal, it's called like the account agreement or something. It's something like that. You need to unlink that and then relink it up again. And they said that solved the problem.
So you had to unlink it for a single account for eBay and ShipSaver?
No, because I wasn't having the eBay shipping problem. I was just having ShipSaver, and I was just having ShipSaver on one of the stores.
And that seemed to have worked. So I haven't seen any of those little charges.
I think that worked. So something got buggy on their end, and it got weird. So it's fixed. So that's how you fix it. You got to unlink the like payment agreement in PayPal.
Now something else we like to call him Hollywood Paul, brought up several weeks ago that he had called eBay and they had clarified to him late shipments, because he started to notice he was having these late shipments and he was wondering why, because he thought he was doing it right. And what they told him was, you just can't print a label within one business day. Yeah. You actually have to have a scan within that one business day, if one business day is your handling time. So there needs to be a scan within your handling time, not just print a label, which is what we've always told people, which is what we thought. And I started noticing we've been having more late shipments than we normally
do. Here's the thing. I think it changed.
Right.
People can... it doesn't matter how many times I read the rules. I'm like, I still don't get it. Because for me, it never was. It was, if you print the label... Okay, say something sells on Sunday. If you print the label by Monday at midnight, PST... you're good.
Right. And that's the way we've been doing it
forever.
For a long time now. And we have not had any problems with late shipments. It's only been recently, maybe in the past month or two.
It was March.
So we think that they changed that rule, but we can't verify that. But it seems like that's what the deal is. So just for us, it just means that sometimes we have to kind of rethink how we're doing our shipments.
And the reason is because we store stuff in another place. So it's hard for us to be like, oh, I'll just grab that right now and make sure it gets printed by tonight. It's like, I gotta wait till tomorrow at, whenever.
Because we store it on a piece of property that we rent to other people. And sometimes we just don't want to go over there if people are over there.
And bother people, so that's our problem.
So, that just means that we need to keep on marching towards building another storage facility on our own property.
If we... the other solution is...
change the handling time.
Change your handling time to 2 days, etc., and not be top rated plus and get the discount. And we might not get the discount next month anyway because, I'm having this issue with my shipments.
Because where they're late shipments. Because I think you can't go over like 2% or something, and we're at like 2.33%,
You can't go over 3%, I think, because we're at 2.77 right now. Like,
gotcha.
It's crazy. So, I don't know. It's just...
And then the other thing is, we noticed that David, who makes Where's the Coupon...
explain what that is.
So he made a service. It's a simple service that we love. So if you give him your email address or it's subscribed to it, he will automatically send you a message when it's time to buy shipping supplies with your eBay coupon. So it's at the beginning of every quarter, and then he'll even give you the link that you can click to go to it. And it's just very common sense, because eBay, we find, kind of hides that stuff. And some people said eBay did send them a message telling them it happened.
I never got the message.
We never got one this time.
I have 2 stores I never got.
So
I never got.
And it's nice to it just be on top of that, because, you know, the nightmare for any scavenger is not taking advantage of free stuff.
Oh, absolutely. So here's the deal. He had where'sthecoupon.com. But he sent out an email last night saying he's discontinuing that URL because it's basically just a mailing list. And maintaining a website and a URL is expensive, as we know. So he started where'sthecoupon.wordpress.com. So that's the new place for you to subscribe to the email list.
Yeah, so there you go.
It's smart.
A little scavenger update.
Yeah.
So as far as scavenging during this week, there's no scavenger of the week because we didn't really scavenge at all.
And there's a reason for that, because we are leaving for a trip today.
Right
after we record this.
Yep, we're going to Baltimore, then Chicago, then Bellingham, Washington.
Good old Bellingham.
And we'll have a quick stopover in Seattle. So anyway, we're gone for 2 weeks, and every time we take a trip like this, and I'm sure other people do this too, there's just a lot to like kind of wind down. You're trying to wind down stuff in your eBay business for when you leave and get stuff. It's ready. And it also, because we now have a helper, this is the first time we've like gone out of town where someone's going to stay here.
Right.
And
she's not going to ship, but we are going to we have like bunches of stuff for her to take pictures of. And
she's going to, it's photograph and list the stuff. So, you know.
Yeah.
We kind of had to kind of get things organized for her and just think through that. It's process of her basically working kind of unsupervised, you know.
Yeah, and that's not to say she can't do it, but it's sort of like we have to organize things the way we want it listed. So we're like, okay, we need to organize all this flatware.
Right, I mean,
this perfume.
People know about this. I mean, you know, we are not selling like, you know, iPhone cases that are easy to list. It's like we're selling like bundles of stuff and, you know, take a picture of these 10 things and then these 2 things and then this. And now, the perfect dream, and I think we're getting there, is to get it to where she could actually ship for us.
That would be amazing. And that would require that we had a storage building and that we had an inventory system.
Right.
I don't know how we would do that with clothes. Like, we're just kind of like, we know where this shirt is. Like, I don't...
Well, I think that, so we have a lot of steps before we get to that perfect dream. But, you know, I think she's totally capable. It's just the onus is on us to actually create a system that could work. Right. I mean, with things like clothes, we have them, you know, it's grouped up like these are jackets. I think we just have to kind of teach her that, you know.
Yeah.
Or do an inventory assistant there too. Like this is rack 1, rack 2, rack 3, and just, you know, have to go through our inventory and say, okay, this shirt, you know, put it in the notes of eBay. Like
rack 1, rack 2. Oh, I mean, God.
That's going to be quite a thing. But first we need to actually build a building, so.
Yeah.
But until then, we've just changed our handling time to 15 business days.
Yes.
So if someone buys, it clearly says they're going to get it, you know, in 15 business days, and then we always send a message to people, and if people want to cancel, they can.
And I've been, you know, I woke up super early this morning, and I've, like, been packing things that sold overnight just to get them out.
Which is great.
They do have 15 business days on them, but I'm just like, if I can get it out right now.
Yeah. Let's talk numbers for our week. People have been talking on the forum about it being slow. You know, they're feeling the summer slowdown, you know, with taxes in America hit it last week, and it was Easter vacation, so people are saying, you know, who's going to buy stuff. So anyway, we actually still had a pretty good week. Things kind of bounced back for us. So in our main store, we made about $2,100. We sold 60 things.
We sold 60. That number just is like, did I pack 60? I must have.
And then in our second store, we made, probably about $500. So
$5-ish.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, anytime we can make over $2,000 in a week, we're feeling good,
absolutely.
And we're just hoping that changing our handling time for 2 weeks isn't going to somehow, hurt our flow that we've been having since January. We hope to carry this into the summertime because who knows?
Yeah,
we're doing the best we can. Okay, things we sold.
Yeah, well, let's see. What do we sell?
So number one is we've just been, since we got back into selling clothes, we've just been selling a lot of random T-shirts, jackets, shoes, belts, all that kind of stuff. Just
hats.
Totally bread and butter stuff.
Yep.
I mean, it's funny, like, I've now gone to the guy, like, we won't sell anything over $30 to now we're selling a lot of, $15 to $25 items, just because they're easy to get, and now that we have a helper, they're easy to list.
Yeah, I mean, we really do, but it pads out those sales,
So, I mean, a couple big sales was, like, we sold another sheepskin jacket.
Yeah, it's like a shearling.
Everyone knows the ones I'm talking about. It looks like the cowboy guy, the Marlboro Man.
Yeah.
This is the second one. It's we sold one for $150. I mean, it's like it's almost springtime, or it is spring, but people still buy
and it was
stuff.
someone on the East Coast. Like, it's getting pretty warm, but that was a great sale. I took an offer on that.
Yeah. We had talked about, it's probably been over a year now, we went to a yard sale and this woman was selling her, it's saddles.
It was her daughter's saddles,
Right.
so they're youth size, which is kind of an issue.
And we bought 4 of them for $100, which I thought was a great deal.
Yeah.
And who knows how much she paid for all these
new
saddles, but they've just been sitting there
for over a year.
Finally, someone gave us an offer of $80 on one of them, and we took it.
I was like, get this out of my house.
Yeah, that was one of our experiments.
The thing is, we've sold adult-sized saddles before, a couple of them, for a lot of money and quickly. So we were like, saddles. But I think the youth saddles, from what I'm sure there's someone listening who rides horses and knows that youth saddles on eBay are way cheaper. Like, they are under $100. Like, because I feel like there are, like, moms who are like, just get this thing out of my house, put it on eBay.
Some daughter, like, begged their dad to get them a horse or to have them ride, and then they do it for a couple months, they hate it, and then the dad's just like, get this junk out of here.
Just sell it for cheap. So, that's unfortunate. But adult saddles, I feel we've sold for good money for fast, so that was what we were going off of. So,
it is interesting. Are there boys that do that kind of like
that do horse riding?
The fancy they have the little black hat and they're like bouncing
like
up
English,
and down.
Western too. I don't know. Yeah. I was never into that stuff. Right. I have no idea. I'm sure there are.
Interesting.
Although it is dominated by females, I think. Yeah. So what else did we sell? I'm going to tell you something that I had to pack this morning, which was a pain, but I was happy. It was this tea set, this colored porcelain tea set that came in one of those boxes from the rich kids who we bought, the espresso maker from. They
were just going to give it to Goodwill, but instead they gave it to us. And it's not just like a tea set like you'd think like an English tea set. This is like a Japanese like little tiny thimble size.
Just like little, very fancy like Japanese.
It's like if you were going to have like a ceremony, right?
Yeah. So it was beautiful. It was made in Australia. It was porcelain, but it was this cool, like, colored porcelain, like, bright colors. And I looked up these pieces individually on the website of the company, and they went for a lot of money. So I actually put this, it was like a 9-piece set. I put it up for $299. And someone offered me $200.
And we were kind of like...
I countered at $250. And then this lady was, like, hemming and hawing, and I was like... I'm just gonna sell it to her for 200. Am I crazy?
Let's just take the money.
So we did an offer of 200, and she paid last night. So I had to pack that. I woke up so early, and I was like,
how'd you pack that? You like individually?
So what I do is like the pieces that fit together, you put together. That's what I do, and then I wrap it really tightly in bubble wrap so it doesn't move. You know, because if you did it individually, it'd be like crazy. So, you know, the teacups, the little pour things, the trays, the little whatevers, they go in tightly wrapped bubble wrap. And then I wrap that in cardboard, like a wrappable cardboard, like not super thick, but...
It's like a space capsule.
It's like a little shell. And then what I did was I put all the little shells in another bag. I actually had this like mattress case, like thick plastic thing. Mm-hmm. So I zipped it in that. I put like a bunch of padding on the bottom, a bunch of padding on the top, and then...
So it's floating.
It's floating.
Yep.
They're all floating. Good. So I'd be surprised if anything. And obviously I insured it for $200. Cool. It should be fine. That should do it. When it's in those little shells,
you're the best. Good. You're the best packer.
I'll tell you, it sucked to pack though. I was like, yeah.
We sold something that we owned, but have no longer put into operation. And one of the things we bought early on when we had our eBay store, you know, the motivation was like we were using eBay to buy things for ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know, some people talk about they're like. eBay's like just our fun cash.
Oh, it's really funny because this is one of the very first things we bought with our eBay money.
And one of the things we bought was a blender, a
Vitamix,
because
they're expensive,
which we still love and have and
Vitamix use. A refurbished Vitamix costs like $300-$400.
But the other thing we bought was a sun oven. And
yes.
Anyone is nerdy knows we bought like a nice one, like, you know, it's a case and it's got these little it's reflective things, and I would like, or we would cook on our back porch, and we just haven't done it for a long time. And this thing, it's huge. It's like a big box. Yeah. It's been in this closet for several years now. So we don't like just to keep things around. So we put it up and sold it for $140.
Yeah, that was lower than I wanted. I wanted a lot more. But I kept getting these low offers.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we gave someone a deal because we just wanted it gone. And that's what deals are about, you know? Like, we wanted it gone more than they wanted to pay us more.
I mean, and the thing was, I kept getting the same offers from two different people, and finally I recognized their names. I was like, just, yes, lady, I'm sending this to you.
Move it out.
Move it.
And then the last thing I'll talk about is we sold something that we no longer had in inventory. It was
oh, God.
We had something listed that we had already sold.
So here's what happened. I had a bunch of these. They're Kodak carousel slide projector things,
which don't sell well, so we don't buy them anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
So what I did a couple months ago is I pulled them, I lotted them up, sold them all together, and I accidentally forgot to end the listing.
And other people have had this problem, and one way to solve it is we just went and bought one from someone else and had that person
ship it to my customer.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was the same price, or
it was basically with shipping to that address. It was
a wash.
It was a wash. But I was able to just be like, I shipped this out.
We drop shipped.
Yeah, I drop shipped. Here's the issue with drop shipping eBay to eBay. When I bought from this person and I asked to ship to this other address, I wanted to take that tracking number and put it in. It wouldn't let me.
Really?
Because it was like, this is already a tracking number for another item on eBay. And you're like, dude, what am I supposed to do?
Talk about a database.
That sucks really bad. So if you actually drop ship from a place like Amazon, you can, or somewhere else, a Lucky Vitamin or whatever, they're not going to know. So for me, I just had to be like, mark as shipped. And I emailed them and said, this is your tracking number.
So then we'll get a ding because of
It was one of those things where you're like, you either get a ding for late shipping or you get a ding for canceling it.
That's interesting.
You know, either way.
Right, and we wanted to, like, the person expected us to send them one, and so that was, you know,
It was like an $8 item. I'm like, really? This is way too much work.
Yeah. So those were some of the things we sold, and then it was just a lot of bread and butter stuff. I mean, it's like I said, we sold almost 60 items, so we're talking almost 10 items a day, and it's just a lot of 24, 39, 33, 36.
I was like, I guess I'm getting used to packing this much because I'm just like,
it's great.
That's how many?
It's great. Okay, customer issues?
Yes, so we had a couple customer issues. One was a guy said our measurements were incorrect on a jacket, and he opened item not as described, started yelling at us. I just didn't say anything, accepted the return, used the beta program to say that the measurements were correct because I got the jacket back. I remeasured.
And it was correct.
It was correct.
Right.
We were correct. It's just buyer's remorse. It didn't fit him. So since I'm in the beta program, I'm able to appeal the reason so I don't have to give him his shipping back and everything. And so here's the issue. So he appealed it, and then I called eBay Anchor Service, and I was like, can you just close this? And they did.
Now, do you think that was because we're Anchor subscribers?
I don't know, because here's the weird thing. The explanation from the rep, let me just preface it by saying, eBay did refund him his money, but they didn't take it out of my account. They covered me under seller protection. But the rep said, because you're in the beta program, this is covered by seller protection. And I was like, that's the only reason I'm covered is because I'm in beta, I guess. So I don't know.
And so I'm assuming at some point beta will be just the normal.
I hope so, because I absolutely love it. It's great for sellers where you're like...
But I mean, we were talking on the forum about this where, I mean, I'm glad eBay does it because it gives us as people that sell on eBay a lot of room to deal with customers.
Right.
But it's just like, we appeal, they appeal, we can appeal again. It's just
and then eBay had to eat it. So that's what's weird.
There's all these... I mean, eBay's willing to go back and forth to try and make everyone happy.
And we're comparing this to Amazon, where Amazon, you're like, this is the wrong item. Send back, money gets deposited the next day. So I just want to say the other customer issue was someone opened a return saying item not as described because she didn't like the shade of color.
Right. We said it was white, and we showed pictures to show the color, and she said it was like a natural off-white. And so, and she was very condescending and like upset about it and just saying like, I expect it's money. And so we, again, we accept its return. Like we don't need to talk to her.
Right.
Accept the return.
I'll appeal it because you cannot say item not as described for color. That's buyer's remorse. And you can only describe a color so much through your computer.
So I think that's the best way to do it instead of like arguing with her because we're not going to change her mind.
I just don't say anything.
It's only going to make her more upset. So accept the return and then just deal directly through eBay through a system that they have.
And it's great to be in the beta program. I can't wait till it's open for everybody because it makes it so much easier to be like, I'm not going to argue with them.
So how did you get into the beta program?
I don't know. I just got an email that was like, try this out. Huh. So who knows when it's going to be open for other people.
I mean, hopefully eBay it won't be like, this is
horrible.
This is like 10 phone calls for every case. Like we can't afford, this kind of traffic,
but the thing about the betas is it's no phone calls. It's all through.
Oh, so sometimes you just call because you want to.
Okay, so they're like, we're reviewing this case. I was like, I'm calling because I'm getting this case closed.
Yeah.
But it took like 1 second.
Right. Our thing is we like to call eBay or PayPal when there's a problem because it's better to like get on top of it instead of just being like a passive participant,
Look, I don't want to go down the customer issue rabbit hole, but again this week I got a PayPal chargeback for a little tiny item. Somebody said it was unauthorized. This is 3 months ago, but I just called PayPal directly and I was like, I shipped it. He never asked for a return. Blah 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 blah. He never asked for his money back. And they were like, cool, closed. in your favor. Well, they take care of it on their end, but they give me the money back with tracking if they see the tracking. So it's always worth it to call.
Yep. And just to be clear, because I always like to say this, we're always happy to accept a return, and
absolutely,
and if we've done something wrong, we're glad to eat it because then it teaches us, we got to stop doing this. We need to change.
So someone else wrote us, and they were like, "Oh, you sent this. It was a Cork tray, and I had boxed it, and I had padded it, and it broke." Which is weird because Cork is like this super hard plastic.
And she sent photos.
She was super nice.
Full refund. Boom.
I'm just like, no problem. I'm super happy to take a return or do a refund.
It's just nice on eBay that as a seller, we have a little bit of room. Because I feel like...
Right.
Because
cranky buyers.
We're, I think we do well on eBay, but we're really small time.
Yeah, small time.
We just cannot eat multiple...
Right.
It returns every month.
Right.
Just because someone changed their mind.
Right. Didn't like the color.
I don't know how people do it on Amazon, but maybe the people that sell on Amazon sell so much that they're just willing to eat that cost.
I'm not sure.
Okay. This coming week, we are going to be in Baltimore, Maryland, working.
Baltimore!
Yeah. So we will see our experiment with what it's like having a helper who is continuing to do work.
It's really funny because Jay keeps being like, I'm so glad you, we made a list for her, and at the bottom of the list I was like, please email us at the end of every day just so you tell me what you did so I can check on it, and if I have any questions I can ask you. And Jay was like super impressed by that, which is so funny to me. I'm like, of course I would have her email me every day.
Okay.
You know what? When I used to work...
We just hadn't talked about it.
When I used to work at WGBH, I was an editor, and I was an editor at night. I was the overnight editor, right? So I would email my producers every night a detailed list of what I got done. So to me, I'm just like, if you're not in the office with people, you got to tell them. But...
It's not about micromanaging people.
No, not at all.
Keeping everyone on the same track, like we all know what's going on.
And I told her in between video jobs that I was going to try to catch up with her. So I kind of need to just be like, let me see what you did. Okay, now I have that on my list, Yeah, exactly. Not to micromanage.
It's also like we haven't really talked about any of this. We're kind of making this up as we go.
Yeah.
As we integrate this person into our business and our lives, we're kind of like making up how she fits into the business and how we want to communicate with her. So it's good. Okay,
so let's listen to voicemails. You can always call us on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486.
Hey guys, like your show. My name's Mike with Rust in Things. Anyways, I was listening to your last podcast, and I was listening to the frustrations of the lady with FedEx, and it got me thinking about my shipping situation. And what comes to mind is I'm currently using a third-party app called Indicia, which imports my orders and makes it kind of easy to ship things. Plus, I can, easily compare prices amongst the U.S. Postal Service. I pay $15.95 a month for this service, but, I've considered looking into moving to other companies, maybe someone that would have the ability to look at UPS, USPS, and FedEx all at once, and then you could, price the best one for you. So just wondering if you guys ever are you shipping your eBay labels through eBay shipping, or are you using a third-party software? And another thing is, I've considered going to the U.S. Post Office and asking for a better rate. A little discouraging is people have told me that you have to do quite a bit of volume before they'll even consider you. And I'm shipping out a couple hundred packages a month, nothing huge, but not small either. But have you guys applied for a postal rep, and are you getting a better rate than just paying, or are you doing everything through eBay and just taking what they give you through your top-rated seller discount? Hope all is well. Love your show. Keep up the good work, and would love to hear your comments on this. Take care. Thank you.
That's cool that you use Indicia. I've seen them. I saw them at the eBay show or whatever back in 2011. But for me, honestly, you're getting the commercial base rate on eBay for FedEx and for USPS.
Right. Well, we had a handful of comments both on YouTube and its forum about this exact problem, about, to solve these shipping issues with either a FedEx or with the scan sheet, that there are these third-party shipping apps, and there's a bunch of them, and they supposedly do a better job than just doing eBay labels.
Just labels.
Anyone that knows this, we just have a philosophical issue with having to pay more money every month for what eBay should be doing.
Yeah, they already do it.
I find that eBay shipping through them seems to do fine, and you get a great discount. And
I have no problem with shipping through eBay.
There's, we talk about a little tiny things they can change. I think we would rather stay it's within the eBay world because it's what we already pay for, and get them to improve than jump over and pay $15, $20, $30. People pay extra for a listing, a service too, and I'm like, we just list right on eBay. That's what it's for.
For me, so. I'm just kind of like, what? So I had looked into using a third-party shipper, and I was like, I don't understand what's different. Like, for me, that it wasn't cheaper because I was paying for a subscription, and I just was like, through eBay.
I will always say this.
Yeah.
It's never say no,
No, of course.
Like, it may be one day, it might make sense, but for right now, I don't see why paying $15, $30 for an extra service makes sense.
Right.
Some people swear by these things, like, because they use a service, it's so much easier and it saves them all this time. We just haven't found that to be true so far.
It hasn't been for me. Yeah. And I'm cheap as hell, so I'm just kind of like...
Like, a service really has to, like get us over the top, Like, why do I need to pay more for what eBay already does?
Absolutely.
Like, it can't just be like, oh, it's just like this little tiny thing that's cool. No, I need a lot of big thing that's going to be cool.
Yeah, I agree. And so far, I know the eBay shipping label page like the back of my hand. So I'm just like, no, I can, I'm just like...
If you were to be someone like, if you imagine being somebody it's new, coming to eBay, it's pretty complicated, isn't it? Or is it easy?
Is what complicated? Like figuring out what postal rate to use?
No, how to ship on eBay, like if you're brand new, is it pretty
You're just
easy?
like, print label, and then the page comes up and you're like, what kind of service do you want? Mm-hmm. That's the most difficult thing, where you're like, should this go first class?
Right.
Should I send it parcel?
Yep. So it doesn't give you we think this is the best way.
No. What you do is you're like, this weighs 2 pounds. It's an 8x8x8 box.
Right.
And then you click on the thing and it's like, here's 17. But for me, you're like, what's the cheapest one?
Right.
Or what did the buyer choose priority mail?
Then that's what they get. Right.
Choose a variation of, does it fit in a medium flat rate?
Or did they choose the cheapest, so then you can pick FedEx Ground,
right.
Or...
Is it a book? Send it medium mail. Yes, certainly, just figure it out.
Yeah. And
you'll figure it out.
And also, I just think, if you sell on a regular basis on eBay, especially if you sell, like a good number of packages every week, there's always going to be little issues. But I think that's going to be true with anything. So a woman that had the problem at FedEx, not fun. I wouldn't want to go through that. It's no fun to eat that. But it's just a learning experience. Right. And then if you ever deal with it's FedEx again, we would make sure that would never happen ever again.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
but I just think sometimes no piece of software is ever going to be perfect. There's just always going to be weird considerations that happen.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for the podcast this week. It's a short one. You can check out the blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discuss and to join the conversation on the forum. There are so many good conversations happening there. You can call and leave a question or a comment on our voicemail line. The phone number is 540-407-8486. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video that shows what sold and how much it sold for, brought to you currently by Stephen Schultz. You can subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube so you always get the latest episode. You can listen to our other podcast where we talk about our Airbnb business, and that's at shampooandbooze.com. Okay, we're ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.
Auf Wiedersehen.